So
Okay, you
once,
you are all set.
all right, perfect. So now the session is recording. So welcome to our advocating for your student, like a way to support your student sort of seminar. So essentially, we're also going to send this recording as well as the PowerPoint to to everybody who's attending tonight. We want to thank you for coming out. My name is Greg Canzio. I'm a student success coordinator for the Office of Student Advising and Success. My colleague, Christina Sorrentino, is our assistant director of the Office of Student Advising and Success. She's doing a lot of the IT today. We're not trained in that, so I want to give her a huge thank you for doing that today for us while I present. Um, so we were going to basically, have this presentation. If there's any questions, you can certainly put it in the chat, and that will be read
So,
out loud. Yep.
Greg, I'm going to stop you right there. The chat feature isn't working right now. So I'm going to try to get the Q&A version to work. If it doesn't, you can just email studentsuccess@sacredheart.edu with any questions that you have, and we'll give you that at the end too. You'll also see it in the PowerPoint. So just so you know.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Christina. So yeah, any questions if this Q&A chat doesn't come up, well, you can just send directly to our student success at sacredheart.edu, and we'll kind of mention that a few more times as we go on. So I'm going to start. Well, once again, my name is Greg Canzio, Student Success Coordinators for the Office of Student Advising and Success, and so we wanted to go over some of the resources to promote to your student, and why we're a little biased because we are the Office of Student Advising and Success. We do, frequently, tell parents and students that to come here first. We help students out with time management, organizational skills, kind of creating a game plan to get back on track if sort of, or with things are going well, making sure they're maintaining that. We kind of talk about studying and stuff like that. So we are one of the resources that we would love for parents to say, hey, have you heard about the Office of Student Advising and Success? Maybe you should go see them. We're in Martiri E244. Almost every, if not every freshman student has a class in Martiri, as well as there's Einstein Bagels. Some of the advisors are also located here. So this is a very common building for students to be in. We're on the second floor. It's a little bit hard to miss us. We are right across from Einstein Bagels, but just upstairs. So just kind of promoting, letting the students know that, we do exist. Christina, can you actually go to that?
Yep.
Yeah, thank
There
you.
we go.
So yeah, this is sorry. So we're on that slide now. So the Office Student Advising and Success. So in other areas for to promote to your students is talking to them about, hey, do you know your professor office hours? If they have any questions or they might be struggling on a certain topic, professors have office hours. That's going to be located in their syllabi for their classes, and that's a perfect time for them to go to that. In addition, they can always talk to their professor before or after class about setting up like a Zoom time if their office hours don't work. So just, these are also ways to tell your student, hey, it's a reminder, like these resources exist. Their advisor has office hours, so they have any questions about their specific major or maybe potentially changing their major, or that's another place to go to is their advisor for their office hours. If your student has had accommodations in the past in high school, the Office of Student Accessibility is a great resource for them to, if have not already, but set up accommodations here at Sacred Heart. So that's a good place to go see how they help students with those accommodations. And it's reminding your student once they have accommodations to utilize them when need be. We have some students that have their accommodations, they use it when they need it, not all the time, but it's always good to have it in their pocket when that time does come. And we have students who use it on a frequent basis because that, has helped them in the past. And then, so that's another resource just to, key things to remind them that these offices do exist. If they're looking to talk about, a career, or just figuring out maybe what they want to do in life. The Center for Career Development and for Career and Professional Development is another resource that we would love for parents to just remind them that this office does exist. Even though graduation is not until 4 years, the career can talk to them about potential jobs that they might be interested in. And then once they kind of figure out maybe the type of jobs they're interested in, we can work with that over at the Office of Student Advising and Success and match them with an appropriate um, major that reflects those jobs. Another key word that we would love for you to promote to your student is the Pass Portal. This is actually a pretty big one. If they don't know what the Pass Portal me is and they have no idea what that even exists, that's actually where all the tutors are housed. So that's where they would sign up to have a tutor. So we recommend that students get tutors even when they're doing well in a class so they can maintain those grades. Or if a class there might be some certain weeks where they're struggling with the material, this is a great way to talk to somebody who's either a professional tutor, which means they are a professor that's hired to professionally tutor students, or it might be a student, a peer tutor who has taken the class and got an A in the course. They also are here to help students as well. Just mention to them, hey, especially in their first week of school, being like, have you reviewed your syllabi? I think that's really important. Just to explain to them that there's a lot of key information that is in each course's syllabi. So just kind of being able to promote that resource as well. CLA sessions, so that is a classroom learning assistant. Not every class has it, but essentially that is an upperclassman member picked by an instructor that has sessions where they tutor you. They do group tutoring for students in that specific professor's class. So they're basing their tutoring sessions specifically on how that instructor teaches that class. So not every class has one, but that will be in their syllabi. If they do have one, that's another important resource to promote to your student that all these resources exist here at Sacred Heart, as well as go into their first year experience instructor. If they're having any academic issues, their first year experience instructor they can tell them about that. That's someone they're going to meet weekly for the first 9 weeks of school, and that could be a great resource because sometimes they consistently see someone, each week they might become familiar and comfortable talking with them, and they can connect them to the other resources on campus, such as our office or the Student Accessibility Office or the Center of Career and Professional Development. And also just reminding them about, checking their emails frequently. A lot of almost exclusively the information is being broadcasted through, emails. So being able to tell them, hey, there's a lot of information that's going to be sent. It's important to maintain your email. And all of the things that I mentioned, so organizing your email, looking at your email, getting connected to your CLA sessions, reviewing your syllabi, getting tutors and kind of navigating the Pass Portal, connecting them with Center for Career and Professional Development and the Office of Student Accessibility, and showing student professor office hours and advisor hours. We do all of that at the Office of Student Advising and Success. So while we, please also promote all these things as well. But if you get them over here, we can also do this. We can help and kind of promote all of these different areas of resources. So while they are separate, if once they're over here at our office and they're working with a success coordinator on a routine basis, either that's weekly or biweekly or monthly, we can kind of get them connected to all those resources. Christina, can you turn? Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
I just want to jump in really quick. Again, my
Yeah.
name is Christina Sorrentino. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Advising and Success. Thank you all for being here. I'm sorry for any technical issues. I am not very good with these things, so I'm hoping everything is going smoothly on your end and you can see everything. I create a monthly, let's say monthly, newsletter for our office. So right now, Greg's going to go over the important dates. All parents who sign up for our newsletter will receive regular communication from our office detailing all of what Greg is talking about, specifically the dates as well. So I usually send out a communication like the first week and then like the third week, and once mid-semester grades are out and when we start talking about registration and when to withdraw from a class and when they should be meeting with their academic advisors and so on and so forth. So you will have this communication, which will be a huge uh, asset for us in terms of how you can work with your students on communicating with us and reaching out for support. You will be aware of these dates, as well as these different events that are going on. And it would be really helpful if you could then, go to your student and say, this is happening, or the SAS office is putting this event on, or have you checked in with your academic advisor on registration clearance, so on and so forth. And then if they are unsure of what to do or where to go, like Greg is saying, we are able to assist in all of these areas. So we are like a one-stop shop. So be on the lookout from the emails that you'll get from our office. It will be from Student Success, which is where I'm sure you've communicated with us before. You received the email to join this session from Student Success. You have that, with you moving forward. All right, Greg, go ahead.
No, I appreciate that so much for that extra, knowledge. I think one of the reasons why we wanted to kind of talk about all these resources, even though once they get to us, we can kind of help guide them to all those resources, is that, in the past we've heard students say, oh, to, their parents that, oh, these resources don't exist. So we're going to try to nip that in the bud really fast and kind of explain that these resources do exist and that it's just about utilizing them and finding them. So now that, we're talking to everybody here, now that you know them, hopefully you can also promote them in addition to our office with your student. Um, so some of the important dates, and again, what Christina said, the parent newsletter, which we will show you if you haven't signed up for it, how you can request to sign up for it by the end of the presentation. But just about like these important dates, it's just good to know so you can kind of help support your student, advocate for your student by reminding them of these dates, in addition to the 1,000 emails and conversations that we're going to have with your students as well. So I hope everyone knows this. The first day of class is Monday, August 28th. I thought I would still put that on there just in case. The last day to add or drop a course is Monday, September 4th. So that is the last day to add or drop a course. Early warnings, students begin to receive the week of September 18th. So if there's any issues like, grade, early warning, so Fs in a course or Ds, or they're not coming to class, they're frequently missing class, they're going to be sent an early warning. So that's a time in that week you can say to your student, hey, just make sure you're double checking your email, just make sure that everything is looking okay, there's nothing to be concerned about. Midterm grades will start beginning to receive them the week of October 16th. So by the week of October 16th, they will know what they are doing so that would be it's their mid-semester grade. So what they have in their class currently at this point mid-semester. In addition to that, they'll also be receiving any warnings from their professors via email. So just kind of making sure that they understand that they need to go and look at their midterm grades, mid-semester grades, which will be in their SPA profile, which is the student planning and advising, and also making sure they're checking their email to see if there's anything that they might need to talk to their professor about. A lot of the times, a professor will give them a warning about there's a couple things in their class that they haven't submitted, and the professor is more than willing to work with them. And once they get those couple projects in, there's nothing to be concerned about anymore. And it might be for all sorts of reasons. They had to get their wisdom teeth taken out or something like that. So a lot of times it's just to make sure that faculty members, so professors, are reaching out saying that there's a concern where we want to bring it up before it becomes a major issue. So that's why those mid-semester warnings occur. The last day to withdraw from a course is October 30th. After that, they'll have to ride that course out. If so, a lot of times if students feel like the course is just they're feeling like that staying in the course may not be in their best interest academically. They can withdraw, but after that they'll actually be, the most they'll need to do is just try to do their best. So that October 30th is that the deadline for that. Registration for spring 2024 courses is in early November. There'll be more information about that sent to parents and students when that time comes. And then final exams will be December 12th through the 16th, and they'll be able to kind of get their final exam schedule closer to that date as well. But these are some important dates. So we made a slide about when your students should come to our office, and I wrote when things are going great. So when there's no problems, but they want to maintain that, come see us, come make sure that we're building schedules around like when they should be doing their work, when they can go out and have fun, when they can go eat, we can make schedules around that. So the whole time management and organizational part, as well as even if everything's going great, maybe they're seeing that their old ways of studying and test taking isn't exactly meeting their expectations in college. We talk about that, as well as all sorts of academic related areas. The student advising and success coordinators help with that. Um, so when things are not going as expected, come see us. We can make a game plan. There's never, come see us. We do recommend as early as possible, but even if you feel, that your student feels shy, definitely keep, recommending them that we're here to help them, and that we're here to make a game plan to kind of get it back on track. So like I mentioned before, that time management, that studying part. And then when they have a question and they don't know who to reach out to, again, we also do that as well as kind of exploring their syllabi and the programs we use like SPA kind of in Blackboard. We're here to kind of help them academically. So there's no wrong reason to come see us. So I would say that we would love for parents to advocate to their students to come to student success. When they're just feeling like they need like someone to talk to and figure some academics questions out. So we also have this part that says, what should I do if my students have an academic challenges? So again, encourage them to book with us. That's the first key step so we can make a game plan. We might, in addition, I can work with the student on, reaching out to professors to set up their own meetings about how to get back on track, in their specific class, because the professor at the end of the day does control the classroom. Um, and then encourage your student to meet with SS coordinator on a weekly basis. The most success I've seen come out of students who are not academically where they would like to be, the most success are the students that commit and stay and meet with me either weekly or bi-weekly, preferably weekly, and commit to this new way of trying to organize themselves and getting through college. So we do recommend that, as a parent, that you just kind of, also encourage that if they are facing some academic challenges, um, if you would like to be involved with a meeting, we do say that it's best to, we want your student to be there during these meetings. When I work with students, they're very trusting relationships. They trust me that I'm here to help them out. I'm one of the people on campus that believes in them and trusts in them. Even from experience, when I have phone calls with parents behind their back, they feel like that they lost that trust with me, and they're less willing to come and and be as open about what's going on and about kind of getting back on track. We still want you to call us if you feel like there's a problem, but to have those larger conversations, it is best to have them with the student and with you involved, and we're all together instead of talking, behind closed doors about it, to a certain extent.
And you're always free to send us an email to Student Success. And, if you're feeling that your student is struggling or looking for extra support or finding how to get involved on campus, we always have access to our email. And we're happy to receive a referral and reach out to your student, and kind of just make it seem like we're reaching out to check in and see how things are going and how we
Yep.
can assist. We want to be as honest and open as possible with them. Like Greg is saying, the relationship is the biggest part, and we like to have that established early on so they're well aware of our office, who we are, how to get to us, and how we can help them. So always feel free to reach out to Student Success, if you want us to get in contact with your student for various supports.
Yep. And like I said, we're more than happy to have conversations with you, but we just prefer to have your student with you in the conversation. We think that that's where that leads to the best support. And then connecting with our office. So this is a QR code to, if you scan it, it'll go to our bookings page. So this is where your student can book an appointment with us. A lot of students will book with us, and then we'll have our initial meeting about what worked with them in high school and kind of how they see our relationship, and we'll either make a reoccurring sessions, maybe weekly sessions, based on how they feel like how they want to first approach this new relationship. But this is the first place to go to. They booked that initial meeting with somebody in our office, one of the student success coordinators. So you can get it by scanning this QR code, or if you're on the SHU website, if you just put in the search bar, the Office of Student Advising and Success, our booking page will also come up as well.
And lastly is what we were talking about, the parent newsletter and how to get involved if you haven't signed up yet. Just so you know that if you are involved in this meeting right now, you have given us your email and you are already on this list. So you don't have to worry about, giving us your information again. But if there is another email that you would like to add, or if there is another parent that wants to be involved, please email us to studentsuccess@sacredheart.edu so that you can be added to the monthly outreach from our office. And that way you know how to contact us as well. Like I said, we all have access to Student Success, so any questions that you may have pertaining to various areas can be asked through there, and we will answer them to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, and if you have any general questions, same Student Success at sacredheart.edu.
I just want to jump in and introduce myself and thank Greg and Christina for putting this together tonight. I'm Jennifer McLaughlin, the Executive Director of the Student Advising and Success Office. We met at orientation, had a quick chance to kind of explain a little bit about the kinds of academic supports at Sacred Heart. But what we really want to focus on is that partnership that we talked about at orientation, and how our office can help students advocate for themselves, and if they're not ready to do that yet, to help families help their students advocate for themselves, because ultimately that is our goal. How a student is able to communicate with their instructors, how they're able to communicate with each other, how they're able to communicate with other people on campus and access resources. That's what we're really here to do, is to connect them with the people who, including ourselves, who want them to be successful, and that includes families. So when it comes to helping your student, the slides that Greg just presented, the different ways in which you can think about advocacy. It isn't just, I'm angry that my student got this grade because he told me that he turned in his homework. You can be angry about that. I've been angry about that on my kids' behalf, as they were going through their college experience. But that's not necessarily the best way to teach your student how to solve the problem, right? Not just to react, but to recognize that we're here, we're able to listen, right? So sometimes your student just needs somebody to listen to them say, I was doing so well in this course, and then I had to take this one exam and I wasn't prepared for the questions, and now I just want to like curl up in a ball and pretend I'm not even in that class anymore. And students will do that, right? They'll react that way. Things will snowball. And so when you're checking in on them to say, hey, how was your week? Or how's it going? And something just doesn't seem right, or you get, your sixth sense about your kid that something's not right, remember us, right? Remember, hey, have you checked in with student success? Maybe, at that point in the semester, you probably have more work to do. If you're feeling overwhelmed, why don't you make an appointment with Greg? Or why don't you make an appointment with Liz? Or why don't you have a conversation with Christina? So there's lots of different ways to help your students become self-advocates. And that first semester, especially, can be really challenging for some of them. And some of them might be surprised that it's more challenging than they expected. So please use this as a resource. We're here to help, your students will always find people in their corner on the second floor of Martiri.
Definitely. Thanks, Jen. So we're now going to start the Q&A portion. We do have a question that I'm going to read to everybody. But if you have a question, please feel free to add it to the Q&A, and we will answer it the best that we can. The first question is, if a student has accommodations, does the Office of Student Accessibility share this with the Office of Student Advising and Success? The answer to that is no, they don't. When a student has a disclosed disability with the university, regardless of what that is, that stays within the Office of Student Accessibility. Everything is confidential, but we do work with them very closely. So a lot of our students, we do a lot of the same events. We meet with the same students. Everybody can meet with the Office of Student Accessibility, and everybody can meet with the Office of Student Advising and Success. So we do communicate with them regularly just to make sure that if a student is working with us, they are aware, we are aware, but the disability is never disclosed. It's the same as how a professor is informed of a student having accommodations. They just receive a letter detailing the specific accommodations and nothing about the disability. So just so you know that moving forward, we aren't informed, but we definitely communicate with them regularly and make sure that all students are being, their needs are being met.
Yeah, and to add to that, just when they have accommodations with the Office of Student Accessibility, even if they have accommodations, professors won't know that unless the student discloses that to them. They do that through online, where from what I was told, that they send it. They don't know the disability specifically, but that they have accommodations. And just like for us, we won't know if a student who's working with us has accommodations unless the student themselves discloses that to us.
Thank you, Greg. Our next question is, will anyone teach the students how to use Blackboard and Microsoft Outlook if they are not familiar with this prior to the start of classes? So that's a great question. Students who are, I can speak for on behalf, involved in the Start Strong pre-fall program are absolutely taught those skills. We make sure that they feel comfortable using both platforms. They understand the information that they can find in both platforms. And so on and so forth. Blackboard is reviewed in FYE, their first year experience class, so they should become familiar with that early on. And Microsoft Outlook is something that I believe the factory will review with them. But also, if a student is struggling in either of those areas, they're more than welcome to come and see us or meet with one of our work studies to kind of sit down and get like a one-on-one tutorial on how to use both and where to access specific information in both.
What you should know is that every semester, your student is going to have at least 5 new instructors, right? So high school, often that's a full year with the same teachers. In college, every semester, you have about 15, 16 weeks with the same people, and then you get a new set of instructors for the next 15 to 16 weeks. And that can sometimes be challenging for students who feel like maybe they just got to know their professor and now all of a sudden they have a new set of professors. And each professor really sets their own expectations. Often Those expectations are included in the course syllabus. So when the course syllabus becomes available to the students when the semester begins, it's really important for them to go over that course syllabus so that they understand what those expectations are. Most faculty members are not going to explain Blackboard to students. Most faculty members are going to assume that students are going to know how to use Blackboard. So it's really important for your student to not just say, oh, well, my professor didn't explain it to me. I don't know how to use it, so I'm not going to. Or I'm afraid to go to their office hours or anything like that. Number one, don't be afraid to go to office hours, especially if you're not sure how to use Blackboard or you're not sure how to submit your coursework, right? It's important to recognize that those office hours are for the student to have access to the faculty member to help them. Not just because, you didn't do well in a paper and you want to know why, but it's the first week of the semester and I can't figure out how to access my math quizzes. That's a problem. That can snowball. So absolutely a student should be looking toward their instructors during office hours for help with Blackboard or help with whatever kind of learning management system a faculty member uses, because not everybody, we're not required to use Blackboard. Most faculty will use it, but it's not a requirement. So that's one thing too. And then just as Christina and Greg said, there are students in our office who work there who are waiting for other students to come in and ask them questions. You can't figure out Blackboard? Stop by E244 in Martiri. There will absolutely be a person who can say, okay, here's how you sign in. Here's how you check for where your assignments should be submitted. Here's how you figure out how to work with groups. So office hours for faculty, for your faculty, and then absolutely stop by the Student Advising and Success Office for those kinds of things, because the transition from high school to college is, like, as we said, significant. And one way that they might feel that a little bit more is faculty just making some assumptions that maybe faculty shouldn't make about what your students know about technology. Good question.
We have two more questions. One is, if a student is struggling and has accommodations, which office should they go to for support? The short answer is both. We want you to meet with whoever you're most comfortable with and who you feel you've created the best relationship with, and that's going to allow you to be the most successful. Within the Office of Student Accessibility, there is a learning specialist, Wendy Sullivan, who works with students, any student at Sacred Heart, but she is specifically housed within that office and she meets with students regularly. We then also meet with students here with our success coordinators and do similar things that Wendy does. Greg, maybe you want to speak to that a little bit and what that would look like, but obviously you and Wendy work very closely together.
Yeah, no, I feel like, the supports are similar, and I do believe it's just simply, you can work with Wendy and myself at first, or someone from both offices if you feel like you want to try to see, have as many advocates for you as possible, and kind of see from there who kind of maybe matches your learning style. There's no right or wrong answer. We've had many students work with different success coordinators, and not because that success coordinator didn't know what they were doing, but they were just not matching. Their teaching style was not matching the student's learning style. So that's okay. So I feel like, being able to introduce yourself and to work, and to kind of see, the work with as many individuals here on campus as possible. I will say, the one things that Wendy might be able to have some more inside knowledge on, specifically the accommodations part of your academics, where we
Or
might
any
not.
special software, sorry, Greg, jumping in, any
Yep,
special softwares that are provided to students with specific accommodations. She
yep.
works regularly with those, so that would be a time when you would probably want to meet with her. But generally, the supports we provide are for all students at Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
Greg, you're all set, right? You answered
Yeah,
everything.
well
Okay, I don't want to
said.
cut you off. Sorry. And the next question is email the only way students are made aware of what is happening on campus? Yes and no. I do want to say that most communication is made to students via email, via their SHU emails. And that is why we really want students to get on, a good groove with email and either scheduling a half hour a day to review their emails, or morning and night, whatever that looks like, so that they get used to it. Not only are they finding out academic information, but also information in regards to events and different things going on around campus. They also are made aware of this information through their FYE instructors during their first sessions. The 50 first days are all talked about in FYE. Their res hall directors, their RAs. So there are various ways, but most communication does come to students via their SHU emails. So it's important for them to really, look out for those emails and make time to go through them regularly.
This is especially important when it comes to your courses. The only way that faculty members have to get in touch with their students outside of the classroom is through email. And even if they are contacting them through Blackboard, it's still, those emails get sent to their Outlook Sacred Heart accounts. So like Christina said, it's a really good idea for them to start checking their Sacred Heart emails regularly. We can tell you because we're the ones who are fixing schedules. A lot of students are still using their personal emails, and they really need to get used to checking their Sacred Heart email on a regular basis, or setting their emails up in Outlook so that they can get their Sacred Heart emails forwarded to whatever email that they check more regularly. It's some faculty will have different kinds of apps that they use to contact students, but generally, as Christina said, right now at least, email is the main form of communication. We understand it can be overwhelming for students. There's a lot of emails that they'll receive every single day, and it can be annoying. I'm not gonna lie, right? They tell us that all the time. It gets so many emails, it's so annoying. They have to kind of learn how to filter and never ignore an email from their professors. One of the first things that they should do is learn the names of their faculty, right? So when those emails come in, they recognize, oh, this is from my English professor. I better read this. So especially on the academic side of things, checking emails is just really important.
Thanks, Jen. The next question is, will incoming freshmen have an informational session like this for when they move in? So no, they don't, but our office hosts regular, what is the word I'm looking for, Greg?
Informational sessions.
Yeah, we have them throughout the semester, all having different topics that any student is able to attend. So we like them to, be comfortable with our office so that they feel that they can come and learn this information from us early on so they know moving forward.
What they will have during Welcome Weekend, on the Sunday of Welcome Weekend, which is the day before classes start, and this is for both residential students and for commuting students, is in the morning they're going to meet with their academic advising and student success people from each of the colleges. So each college will set up their Welcome Weekend session however they do it. So for example, the College of Arts and Sciences, all of the first year academic advisors will be at that session, and they will have a chance to meet with their academic advisor in a group. So say I have 20 first year students who are my academic advisees. They'll meet with me for a very brief period, about 25 minutes to 30 minutes that Sunday, just to check in, talk about expectations, what the week is gonna look like. Sometimes we walk our students to our offices so they know where to find us. And that's all of the colleges have these sessions on that Sunday before classes start out, so on August 27th. And then Greg and Christina can speak to this in the afternoon on that Sunday. They're also going to meet with their FYE instructor. So they will have an opportunity to meet both with their academic advisor and their FYE instructors on the day before classes start, so that they can get any of their questions answered about what's going to happen to me when I wake up tomorrow morning and I have to go to my first college class.
Yes, they are able to come to us and have, a little one-on-one time. during FYE to talk about whatever they need to make sure they feel comfortable, to make sure their questions are answered, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, but like we said before, informational sessions about what our services are, that happens periodically throughout the semester, and those dates will be sent to you in the parent newsletter. And we typically get them all over the TV screen, so they're promoted. They'll get emails about it. And then because you guys are getting those dates, we hope that, to help out our office to tell your student to come to these events.
We do typically host a event during the 51st days that's Meet the SAS, and we like students to come by just to our office and meet us and see what we are all about and how we can support them. So that's a great way for them to kind of have this information early on.
And free food.
And free food, the biggest part for sure. Okay, so the next question is, what if parents have questions about a student's schedule? I want to ensure my student is taking classes that are needed for his major or requirements to graduate on time, and neither he nor I can figure out, looking at the schedule, some classes say TBA, some are 1 hour, critical thinking class, etc. So a student comes in with a schedule. They are placed in classes that are needed, that meet requirements, and will help them get to their degree in 4 years and on time. After that, they then meet with their academic advisor to talk about courses and career plans and so on and so forth. So there never is a time when they're scheduling themselves for classes. Their first schedule is the first that they are given. After that, they choose classes. And we do that in order for them to be placed in specific courses that, like I said, meet the requirements that are needed for their specific majors. If they come in as an exploratory student, they are placed in courses that meet the foundational core requirements of Sacred Heart University. For the specific on TBA and 1 hour sessions, TBA is simply, we don't know which room specifically this class will be in, but that will be updated before they start here, and they can ask that question when they meet with their academic advisor on the first, on that Sunday before classes start. And then also, classes that are in a block setting or that a blended setting, we then can work with them on what that looks like so that they can prepare and feel comfortable with, entering their first week.
So when they receive their schedules at orientation, the student success deans in all of the colleges did go over their schedules, not individually, obviously, but kind of explain why their schedules looked the way that they did. So every student should have either FYWS 125 or CTL 125 on their schedule. Many of the CTL sections are blended, and what that means is it only meets once a week in person, but they will have work that they are expected to do outside of the classroom asynchronously that will be explained to them by their faculty member when those classes start. So if you only see CTL 125 once a week on your schedule, that's perfectly normal. There are some other courses that only meet once a week, either as a blended course, and you'll see a B in the section that tells us that it's a blended course, or sometimes, as Christina said, courses meet once a week in a block. Science labs meet once in a week in a block for 2.5 hours, for example. Communications course meets once in a week on a block. There are several theology courses that meet once a week in a block. Sometimes that's because the professor has chosen to use that time and needs more time to do different kinds of work within the class itself. And so they need to meet all at once rather than having the time split over a couple of days in the week. Most of the courses have assigned instructors, but there are a few where departments are still assigning courses. We're hiring some new faculty this summer to teach our first year students, and we're really excited about that. And so those courses haven't necessarily been assigned to those people yet, but they will be full-time members of the faculty who are teaching some of those TBA courses. And as Christina said, the other thing about a TBA course is most likely a classroom because we have a lot of classes and a lot of students, and we need to make sure we find the space for all of those classes. All of those things will be filled in by the time the semester starts on August 28th, so they don't have to worry. They can see their schedules at any time. So if they lost that piece of paper that they got at orientation, don't worry. They can see their schedules anytime by logging in using their Sacred Heart username and password, just like they do when they log into their email, username and password to Student Planning and Advising. And that's where they can find their schedule. Just kind of appears, I think, on the front page. They scroll down, they'll be able to see their schedule. So if they're not sure, or if they sent in a request to ask for a schedule change, they should have gotten an email from one of us saying that their new schedule is available, either to their email account, or if they filled out the form, they'll see that there's a computer-generated response that's telling them that their new schedule that there's an email. They click on that and they'll see our response, right? Your new schedule is available. You can view it on Student Planning and Advising. So we've been working basically since orientations ended in June to look at schedules when students request changes. Sometimes they change their major, and that's a really big reason why they might need to get their schedule changed. Greg, when he presented to all of our students at orientations in June, provided them with a QR code that we asked them all to take a picture of this QR code that brings them to the schedule change request form. We know it worked because we've gotten hundreds of requests to have schedules changed. So if you're unsure about how to ask for a schedule change, just ask your student if they took a picture of that QR code. If they didn't take a picture of the QR code, all you need to do is send an email to freshmanregistration@sacredheart.edu. Freshman registration, all one word, and it's freshman registration at sacredheart.edu with any questions that you have. And excuse me, you can also email Student Success at any time and say, my son has a question about his schedule. He's not sure why he's in this course. But and someone will be happy to answer that question for you. But remember, these schedules were made deliberately, right? They were made to include courses that all students take because they're first-year students at Sacred Heart, like FYWS. They're scheduled for math course because every major requires a math course. They're scheduled for a major course. So if you're a biology major, you should see yourself in a biology course with a lab there. And then the other courses fulfill foundational core requirements. So as Christina said, all of the schedules were built with the goal that all of you have for your students, and that is for them to complete their degrees in 4 years, to successfully complete 16 to 18 credits every semester, and to make sure that they're fulfilling all of their requirements.
And if you do book an appointment with one of us, just because if there's any, maybe not specifically like I want my schedule change, but just questions about it, you can book an appointment. The QR code we had before, your student can, and we can kind of discuss like why their schedule looks like the way it does.
Thank you, both of you. The next question is there a specific requirement for freshmen in terms of the laptop that they should have? And there really isn't, unless, and Jen, maybe you could speak to this a little bit, they are declaring like a computer science or information technology major, so something within the College of Business, just to make sure that the computer can accommodate the software that's required. So if you, or if your student is unsure, then we would refer them to Sean Heffron to just confirm that they have the right laptop to start in the fall.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's really up to what the student is comfortable with. There are majors in the School of Communications that prefer a Mac over a Windows laptop. So you can always reach out to the department. You can also call text or email tech support at sacredheart.edu. So tech support, all one word. I was in there getting a new laptop last week, and there were some people handling phone calls from parents of incoming students who had some questions about laptops and laptop maintenance and which laptop should a student get based on their program. So that tech support at sacredheart.edu is a good resource.
The last question is, do you know how students get their IDs if they haven't already? Students should have received their IDs at orientation, but who do they reach out to, Jen, if they still need it?
I've been telling students to email orientation at
Yeah.
sacredheart.edu, and Bonnie Sokol will let you know how you can get your ID card. So that's orientation at sacredheart.edu.
That's it for our questions. Does anybody else have any questions they want to ask? You can add it in the Q&A now. And like we've been saying, please feel free to reach out to Student Success and ask any questions that you may have. If you have none now and you think of some tomorrow or next week, we are available throughout the summer, and we're happy to assist you however we can. We're excited for your students to start in the fall for sure.
We are.
I'm, oh, I think I got another one. Oh, I'm glad someone said it was so helpful. And I'm happy for that. And we want to continue to be helpful. So whatever that looks like, whether it's questions that you have or your students have, we just want to make sure that we can meet them where they're at and we can support them through this transition with whatever that looks like.
We also got one that says, what are your summer office hours? So we are here Monday through Thursday from 8:30 to 4:30 typically, and then Friday we're typically here 8:30 to 1 p.m. during the summer. I will say that because students are not here, that a lot of the members do take some of their vacation hours just because we try to take them while we're not super busy. But typically we're here during those summer hours.
Anybody else? Okay, we're going to go ahead and end the session now. But like I said, we are available throughout the summer through Student Success, through our personal emails. You can reach out, your students can reach out. We love meeting our new students before they're here in the fall. So definitely keep us updated. And if you need anything, we are available.
Always.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.